Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of From Page to Stage. I'm your host, Wendy Corner, and this podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneur. Yes, page and stage come together in entrepreneurship. Because if you are an author, if you're an entrepreneur, you have maybe a contributory book out, maybe a solo book out, maybe regular blogs. But I guarantee you've got socials, haven't you? And what's that if it's not published work? Check that box. What about the speaky bit then? Well, a lot of the people come to me and go, I can't do the public speaking. No. I'm shy. I'm an introvert. And my point then is, can you have a one-on-one conversation with somebody? Yes. Then you can do a podcast. Is that a stage? Yes, it is. So if you are sitting here watching this going, I'm a shy entrepreneur, no, come and talk to me. Let's get your message out on a podcast. Job done. Okay, now today, I have the joy and pleasure of introducing you to Coach Dan Gordon. Now, we have come across each other a few occasions, and if as an entrepreneur you're feeling a little about the sales side of things because you're shy and introverted, well, this is a man you really need to meet. I know about that much about Coach Dan, but he knows an awful lot more. Coach Dan, over to you. Give us a bit more about who you are and how you got to be where you are today, please.
Well, so I want to speak. First of all, thank you so much for having me here, Wendy. It's really a delight to talk to you. I love what you do. I love what you're about, and just what you shared about how to help people get out there. Right? Everybody has a story about why they can't. And I love what you just shared about. Yeah, well, you really can. And something as you were sharing this, something really came to mind, and that is that some people say, I'm really shy, right? I'm quiet. I'm like, I've never met a shy baby, right? Like when a baby is hungry, they're not shy. I've never met a baby that goes, well, I'm hungry, but I don't want to bother anybody, so I'm not going to cry, right? I'm on this airplane and I'm really uncomfortable, but I shouldn't cry because it will upset someone, right? So this is something that you learned.
True.
Right? You learn to be shy. You were told things as a child that the way that your brain interpreted these things that you were told, the interpretation was, well, I should be quiet. Quiet is where it's safe. And I get it. It makes sense. Right? Whatever happened to you back then, the trauma that you experienced, what you went through, being quiet was safe.
Yeah.
However, that's not happening now. It's not happening today. It happened a long time ago. And so if you're willing to bring yourself forward into the present day, you can begin to deconstruct the parts of yourself that hold you back. And we all have them. We all have them. But I'm here as living proof to tell you that you can do this. Now, I get a lot of people saying, "Oh, Coach Dan, you're so lucky. You're a natural born salesperson. You could sell ice to Eskimos." Well, first of all, if you're a good salesperson, you don't sell ice to Eskimos because Eskimos don't need ice. They need gloves and snowmobiles, right? So, first of all, that's not the mark of a good salesperson. Right. And so I want to be clear about that. The second thing I want to be clear about is that I'm not a natural born salesperson. I am a taught salesperson. Right? Any person that you ever see who is good at anything learned how to do that over time.
Yeah.
One of
The
my favorite
mastery thing.
quotes, yes, perfectly said, the mastery thing, right? One of my favorite quotes is by Muhammad Ali, who said, I hated every day of training. I hated it, but I knew if I suffer now, I can live my life as a champion,
And he
right? And
did.
so he did,
Mm.
right? And so if you're willing to suffer now and suffer just for a short period of time in the whole scheme of things, you can live your life as a champion. But don't tell yourself a story about how you are and who you are as you are now or as you think of yourself now, because that story will only keep you stuck. When I was teaching myself how to sell, it was rough because I would hyperventilate before sales meetings and I would hyperventilate after sales meetings. And sometimes I would hyperventilate during sales meetings, right? So I'm not a natural born salesperson. I'm taught.
Yeah.
right? And the thing that you want to remember when it comes to sales and being shy or whatever story is about I can't, is that when you lean into the fire and you stay in the fire long enough, the fire burns off this old outer layer of who
Mm.
you were and reveals who you are becoming. And on the other side of that fire is a greater version of you that you get to live in as a champion for the rest of your life. If you're willing to take a little heat in that fire today, you do get to live your life as a champion.
Beautifully put, sir. Beautifully put. But so we know then that you are into sales.
I am.
You're obviously an incredibly good coach as well. Love the vocabulary in there. Wait for it to
I've worked
come
hard
through.
to be that. And yeah, I am.
Yeah, one coach to another. So I want to take you back in time because the reason you're with us is because you are an author.
Hmm.
So coming back in time, when did you first realize that this writing thing was actually something you enjoyed? I mean, we all started the mechanics of it around the same age, but when
Yeah.
did you grab the idea that, oh, I'm quite good at this?
When I was 13 years old and I saw Star Wars for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. Because
How long?
um, I sat in that theater over a dozen times and I watched that movie over and over again because I couldn't believe that one person could have that big of an imagination.
Right.
And I thought if that person has that big of an imagination, well, maybe I do too. And I started writing and I really fell in love with writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what sort of things did you write to start with?
Science fiction stories, of course.
Of course.
Like, what the hell else am I going to write after seeing Star Wars? I wrote a lot of stories. I wrote a lot of little stories.
Mhm.
And, but my trauma, my stuff prevented me from pushing myself out there in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a holdback for a long time. Right. I mean,
Mm.
people would read my stuff and like, wow, this is really good. You're really good at this. You should publish this. You should put it out there. You should submit it. And I was like, no, right? Because as a kid, it was just terrifying.
Mm.
And it took a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of effort to lean into a lot of fires
Yeah.
that allowed me to eventually become a published author.
Did you journal as a teenager?
Not really. No, I
Okay.
just wrote.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Have you still got those early stories?
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, they are locked away somewhere. I don't know where.
Oh, it would be fun to revisit them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it would. I should scan them in and run them through ChatGPT and
Yeah.
um, get a sense of who that kid was.
Yes. Well, I mean, the other thing is that sci-fi, okay, there are trends within sci-fi, but I
Mm.
admit I'm not a great fan. The point is
Right.
because it's fantasy, it's ageless.
Yeah.
I mean, the film graphics have improved dramatically, but the,
Mhm.
the point is though that I mean, yes, that's a genre that can easily dive out of the annals and come into present day. Oh, I seriously do have a go at that.
Yeah.
Go find.
Um, as we're talking about it, I'm thinking, well, what were those stories about? And they were about people who were struggling, right? People in bad situations who had to use their wits to get out of them. And the science fiction was always just a backdrop
Right.
for those stories and those people.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and look, the things that we are connected to, the things that we love and feel passionate about are often the things that we struggle with.
Yes.
And
Yes.
look, I became a personal development instructor because I took a course and fell in love with it and was just so committed to that kind of work. And that kind of work became a passion.
Well, that's where the entrepreneurs come in, isn't it? Because very often they've been through some stuff, they've realised there's a void in the market for something, and they
Yeah.
because of the stuff they've been through. I use stuff as a wonderful catch-all word. They develop either a product or a service because of what they've been through.
Hmm.
And this is where I go with the authors that I'm working with, particularly the business authors. People buy the story. They buy you as the owner, as the entrepreneur, as the the,
Yeah.
the story behind the product. I mean, think about Virgin. You mention the word Virgin, and everybody's mind immediately goes to Richard Branson, even although he's probably nowhere near that particular branch of Virgin anymore.
Yeah.
But it's the story behind, which is why it's so important, audience, to get your message out to the wider
Hmm.
world. People buy from those they know, love, and trust. Know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
They might love you as well. But the point is, they will only do that when they get to know you.
Well said. Right. Right. And that, when you talk about people being shy or reserved, there is that piece of trauma inside that says if someone gets to know me, they will reject me.
Yes.
Right. I will not be included. And look, that's something that I dealt with. And we carry our trauma with us
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of our life, and we negotiate with it. We work with it, right? And I still do.
Yeah.
But it is in that drove me to have a deeper understanding of humanity and to
Mm-hmm.
look at humanity kind of like a puzzle that I get to deconstruct.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I do and the reason I do it so well is because I've done a lot of deconstruction. So when I am working with a client and they're telling me about the things that they're struggling with and what they're trying to push through, it's very clear to me where those blocks are and how to move through them.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a real joy to do that with people.
Isn't it wonderful when you see somebody literally transform in front of your eyes?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's great to watch the lights turn on.
it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And
It is.
audience, if you've ever worked with a coach and you've been on the receiving end, or you're a coach yourself, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? That to experience that shift, and you
Mm,
go, "Ooh, ooh, who am I now?" Get into
yeah,
that
yeah.
identity piece. Yeah, chills. Right. Thank you very much for bringing us into your authorship. So your book came out when?
Just a few years ago, and so um, well, let me go back a little bit, right, and,
Mhm.
and tell you about the genesis of this. Is that, um, talking about sales and my dislike of sales and how I learned to have a better relationship with sales,
Mhm.
um, is that the stress part was about being disingenuous, and that's where people really struggle in sales. They believe that they have to be something different than who they are in order to sell what they do. And it's not true. The
Yes.
opposite is true. And it is actually in a holding back from who you are that you hold back from your sales. And the reason that so many of these sales training are out there about, here's the 10 tips to overcome objections, or here's a script so people will say yes, or here's a trick, a tool, a script, a Jedi mind trick. All these things are designed um, to enroll people in sales training, keying on the idea of you won't have to feel bad. Right.
Yes.
I'm going to give you this trick so you can sell something without the potential of feeling bad, and that doesn't exist. The fact is, Wendy, most sales training, the reason most sales training doesn't work is that most sales training isn't designed to help you sell better. Most sales training is designed to sell you sales training. They don't give a
Yes.
damn about whether or not you sell better. They just want to sell you their crap.
Mhm.
Right? Like, look, McDonald's is not out there to make you healthy. They're just trying to sell you French fries because they taste good.
Mhm.
And so you have to understand that about the sales training industry. It's not there to help you sell better. It's there to sell you sales training.
Yes.
So you have to be very careful and cautious and aware about what kind of sales training you ingest.
Mm.
And so I am not here to sell sales training. I'm a professional coach. That's my job.
Mm.
Right? That's where I make my income. I'm a sales trainer because I'm passionate about it. Um, and it's funny because people have said, well, if you're so passionate about sales training, why don't you just give it away? You know, and I said, can you imagine um, devaluing the thing that you do well and love? I would never do that to anybody.
Yeah.
Because when you give something away for free, what you're essentially saying is this has no value.
Yes.
Right? And so I am. telling everybody before you buy any kind of sales training, especially from me, make sure it fits for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Make sure that you're not buying it just to avoid feeling bad, right? Avoid the sense of that you're going to have to make a call and someone's going to say no,
Mm-hmm.
right? And suffering through that, leaning into that fire so you can burn off the outer layer, become a greater version of yourself, okay? If that's what they're selling you, run. I'm telling you right now, if you read my book, we'll talk about that in just a moment. If you read my book, I'm going to ask you to do things that are going to make you feel bad. But But it is in going through those bad feelings that you are freed from them forever. And then selling is no longer a problem.
Does that sound good or does that sound good, audience? No
You know,
longer a problem.
yeah. It's funny, Wendy. I tell people that I can eliminate the problem of ghosting, right? Because that's a big thing that people talk. Oh, I hate it when people ghost me, and I go, oh, great, I can eliminate that problem forever. And they're like, great. Like, what do I say so people don't ghost me? Like, oh, people are going to ghost you, but I can eliminate the problem of ghosting.
Yes.
It's your problem, not their problem. They're just
Yeah.
not calling you. They're fine. You're the one with the problem,
Yeah.
right? So you have to be willing to call people over and over and over again, email them, reach out to them on, social media or text, and just keep at them.
Mm.
Because until they say no, it's a yes. And
Mm.
I'll give you a perfect example. There's somebody that I spoke with who is in this really cool transformational part of her life and as a crossroad. And she goes, oh, I definitely want you to coach me. Like, fantastic. I sent her an agreement, never heard back from her. This is 6 months ago. So it's been 6 months of calling, emailing, texting, messaging. And just a couple of days ago, like nothing, 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 nothing. My optimism was not dampened at all because it was still a yes. She still hadn't said no. I even in one of my phone messages I said, "Hey, look, if you don't want to hear from me, it's fine. Just let me know. I'll stop calling you." Didn't hear that. That means it's still a yes.
Ah.
Just a couple of days ago, I saw on Facebook that she and I have the same birthday and that we know somebody in common. And I'm like, hey, this is really cool. We have the same birthday. And like, how do you know Joe? And she got right back in touch with me. Hey, Joe's a good friend of mine. Hey, I'm really sorry I haven't been in touch. Right? 6 months of this.
Mm.
So like imagine if a month into it I'd gone, oh, if it was a yes, if she really wanted to talk with me, she would get in touch with me, right? What most people say. But the only reason that I would be saying this is because I wouldn't like the feeling of constantly reaching out and not being, her not getting back in touch with me. But that's my problem,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so all of this, Wendy, all of this kind of coalesced
Mm.
into a style of selling I call selling authentically.
Right.
And selling authentically is selling in your own voice, your own style, in your own words, no tricks and tips and Jedi mind tricks. But here's the thing with that, Wendy. Here's the thing. The thing is that when you're not using someone else's script, it's just you.
Mm-hmm.
It's your honesty. And the danger in that is that when they reject you, they're not rejecting the script. It's you. They're rejecting your honesty.
Yes.
So if you're willing to be that honest with people and open and not hide behind your product or service and just say things like, I really like you and I see something in you that you might not see in yourself. And so
Mm.
I want to help you. Right. And if you're willing to work with me, I'm going to take you where you need to go. Like I'm going to deliver on what you want, but you got to be willing to work with me.
Yes.
Right.
No magic wands.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of honesty in those
Mm-hmm.
statements, right? I'm not just saying, well, here's my 7 point plan for,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now it's just me and that other person.
Mm-hmm.
And so the structure of selling authentically is doing a deep dive on your own truths.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote a book based on a comment that somebody said to me about selling. I was talking to them about selling. They go, selling's bullshit. And I said, That's the title of my book. And so that's the title of my book. I wrote Selling is Bullshit. And in this, there's a lot of, it's not just a psychological deep dive. There's a lot of practices and practical things about like getting set up with Calendly, like getting set up with systems that you need to
Hmm.
use in order to make it
Yes.
easy for people to connect with you.
Yes.
Right. Like, so before someone has a conversation with me, I send them a link and they schedule a call with me. Well, then they get a form that they fill out before they schedule a call with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And based on what I learn about them in that form, and the form is called the learn about, right? Based on what I learn about them in the form, now I know how to close them, how to sell them, how to talk to them. I
Mm-hmm.
also know if they're going to be a decent client or not, right? There's some
Yes.
things that, right? And this is all in the book and it's all stealable. I'd say, go on, take a look at my form, steal it, please take it away, right? Because, and even in the book, like in the very beginning of the book, it says, steal this book, you know, take it, rewrite it, put your own name on it. It's fine. Right? Because I am not here to hold on to everything like it's, like I'm desperate. I'm not.
Mm.
In the words of the great poets, the great the Red Hot Chili Peppers, give it away, give it away, give it away now. And give away the things that you love because it
Mm.
comes back to you tenfold. And speaking of that, I want to give away my book. Now you can go onto Amazon and buy it. That's fine. Amazon is priced at like 20 something dollars. That's not me, that's them. But
Mm.
here, let me give it to you. Just text the letters BS, as in bullshit. Text BS to this number, 213 409 8366. Text
Oh, yes.
BS.
If you haven't got that, it'll be in the show notes.
Perfect. All right. Let me give it to you again. Text BS to 213 409 8366, and you can download the book for free.
Can I
Um,
stop you for a second there, Dan?
yeah.
That's obviously for the American and maybe Canadian market as well. This podcast works worldwide. Do you have
Yes.
an alternative for people who don't have the access to international texts?
What I'll do is I'll give you a link, Wendy, that
Great, thank
people
you.
can click on, and
Thank you.
um, and with that link, you can get the book for free.
Thank you so much. Very
Yeah.
generous of you. Very generous of you. The reason I know the texting stuff works really well in America and Canada because you're on the same network as it were. But I
Hmm.
mean, I'm audience. If you haven't already worked out, this is a truly international podcast because I'm sitting here in Malaysia talking to Dan in the States. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
do cover a wide area, literally.
And I will say that I have had people the world over text that number, and it does work
Okay,
because it's an international texting system.
right.
And so if that doesn't work, pardon me, if that doesn't work, you can just click the link that I'll give you in the notes.
Thank you so much, Dan. That is incredibly generous of you. So the selling is bullshit came out when?
I think 3 years ago,
3 years ago. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So important because, as you say, this is something that I would say that a large proportion of the population have a little bit of a with. There are some people who are bold as brass and can just, as
Yeah.
you say, sell ice to the Eskimos. Which is not
Don't
a
do
good
that.
idea. Yes, well,
No.
we need to change that one up, really, don't we?
Yeah.
It's bit of a
Mittens,
false
mittens
cliché.
and snowmobiles, it's what they need.
Yeah, or taking coals to Newcastle is a British version because Newcastle in the UK was the mining hub
Ah,
of the British coal industry. So taking
taking
coals to
Colston.
Newcastle was
That's funny.
pointless. All these wonderful cultural
Little idioms.
references
Yeah.
that just trip into the language. Beautiful. So we've talked about your book. I'm going to ask you about your speaking because this is
Mhm.
page and stage. So which came first, your speaking or writing? Because you're clearly very comfortable speaking.
Writing definitely came first, right?
Hmm.
Writing, I learned how to speak from writing, right? I
Hmm.
developed my author's voice, and I also I did stage work 100 million years ago. I was in a comedy troupe. I did stand-up comedy, and really, if you want to get good at speaking, go do stand up. Most comedy clubs have open mic nights.
Yes.
And look, it's a little scary and it can be a little terrifying getting up there.
That'll get you
You
past the
know,
rejection.
it really does. Yeah. But you build a relationship with the things in your psyche that you struggle with.
Mm,
And so we all struggle with rejection. The reason that we struggle with rejection, it's built into our humanity. We are a social species, right?
yes.
When we were cave people, if we were excommunicated from the group, it just wasn't a bad feeling. We would die, right? We had to hunt and and be in community to get together. And so, it's in our DNA to be in communication, to be in connection with each other. Excuse me.
And if you
Absolutely.
said something out of turn, away from what the cultural, the tribal norms were, you risked literally getting put out of the tribe, which, as you've said, is death. Which
Death,
is
right.
why
So,
it's embedded that the public speaking and the death are so closely related, that those two
yes,
fears. Yes. Yeah.
right. Yeah, it's the old Seinfeld joke. You'd rather be the guy in the box and delivering the eulogy.
Yes.
And
But it's
and
hardwired.
so it is hardwired, but it doesn't mean that it can't be overcome,
Exactly.
right? And all of our struggles can be overcome.
Hmm.
Everything that holds us back is an opportunity for growth and development.
Yes.
And I'm living proof of that. I've had a lot of struggles. I've had a lot of setbacks. About 9 years ago, I was a man in an unusual position on the floor of my living room in a pool of my own snot and tears because my marketing company had collapsed, right? I lost over $100,000 in a month. I was up to my
Oh,
eyeballs in debt, right? It was looking like my life was over.
yeah.
Now, um, 8 months later, I walked out on stage in Dallas, Texas, being paid $10,000 for my first speaking gig. Right? And right, so that journey from the floor to the stage was a journey of massive transformation. And so I'm
Yes.
telling you, I'm living proof
Yes.
that anything can be overcome if you have the willingness to look into what you struggle with.
Yeah. Yes. Face your fears, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about sales, Wendy. Anything that you struggle with in life, business, or relationships shows up in a sales interaction, right? That
Mm,
sense of uncertainty, rejection, your value, the value of yourself, your product, your service. And by leaning into those struggles, you become free of them.
yes. Yes.
And, having taught personal development courses, I can tell you sales is a masterclass in personal development.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
you like uh, don't take a personal development course. Just get out there and start selling. It is a um, an accelerated experience in terms of your own development.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, running your own business,
Yeah,
you will, it's probably going to be your biggest personal development course ever.
it
And,
is.
and,
Yeah,
and it can be pretty scary at times.
yeah. Especially when you lose it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've studied successful people all of my professional career. I've talked to successful people, and every successful person went through what I went through. They lost everything.
Yeah.
And, because the people who are super successful, they roll big dice. They take big chances.
Hmm.
And those chances result in big failures sometimes.
Yes.
But they also come back from them.
Yes.
And it's in the coming back where you learn everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can either stay on the floor in the pool of snot and tears,
Yeah, right.
or you can go, I don't like it here. I'm going to do something about
Yeah.
it. And get yourself up. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, lovely. Dan, this is fascinating. I love a conversation. I mean, every time we've talked, I've gone, ooh. Okay. So we've talked about your page. We've talked about your stage. Now, your stage work, uh, do you still do um, stand up?
No, 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 no. It's not that long time ago. I'm terrible at stand up.
It's not one of your better skills. But the reason I'm mentioning this is because, audience, if you weren't already aware, there are different stages, as I mentioned earlier, and each form of stage has a complementary but different skill set required.
Yeah.
The stand up is very different from, say, an MC, which is
Hmm.
a very different situation from a keynote, a facilitator, a podcast interviewer, a podcast guest, being a guest on radio or TV. That's another extra slight dimension. So there are various
Mm,
different stages that all require something slightly different. And then if you go into
yes.
improv, now there's somewhere that'll really test your mettle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where I started in my stage work. I studied improv at Second
Okay.
City in Chicago. And that's what really got me kind of motivated in that because I saw, wow, this is a place where I can truly come out of my shell
Yes.
and um, see what it's like just in a very raw form to be myself.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm getting lots of chills. You've gathered. Oof.
Mhm.
I love a good goosebump conversation. Okay, so now we've talked about your page, we've talked about your stage, we've talked a bit about this wonderful book, Selling is Bullshit. Have you got any other books percolating?
Yeah, I mean, I have a book called How to Increase Your Sales by 60% in 60 Days. And I have another book called Jumping the Gap. And
Okay.
Jumping the Gap is Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action. And that I wrote as I was coming out of the experience, the snot and tears experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was on the tail end of the eight months in between the floor and the stage.
Right.
And I wrote it to myself because I realized that I was filled with stories about why I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so this became a really a powerful experience of working through what I was going through. And
Yes.
it's a really short book. I mean, it's almost a pamphlet. It's so short. But I decided to make it because I'd shared it with several people, and they really liked it and they found it helpful. And so let me do this. Let me give that book away too. If you'd like Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action, just text the word GAP, GAP, to that same number, 213 409 8366. 213 409 8366 and text the word GAP, GAP. And you'll get there's a few options on that. You can download the book, but it's also an audio book, so you can listen to it as well.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Audience, if you are an author, haven't you ever experienced listening to somebody else's words as they're speaking their own words? Their own. Your words have power. So what I'm getting at is if you've listened to an audiobook narrated by the author, there's something so powerful about it because you are literally hearing their voice speaking their words. My book came out last week. I'm
Hey,
very proud of
right
myself. And
on.
you were saying
Yes.
about the catharsis and the writing about your experience. My book is called From Hoarder to Hand Luggage.
Hmm.
There's an awful lot in there, I tell you. And it was
Yeah.
the original thought was that it was getting rid of stuff,
Mm.
physical stuff. 20 kilos, by the way, is 44 pounds if you're in America. That is literally all I have. My case is down here, and that is my life in there. So I thought it was going to be about the physical stuff, but so much of it was about the mental stuff, the stories we tell ourselves that perpetuates the behavior.
Yes.
Now, the reason I'm mentioning that is because I did a book reading as part of the launch. I gave the folks six excerpts to choose from, and I read two. And I'm
Nice.
doing a book reading in Perth, Australia at the end of next month. And it's as people have heard you speaking, if they've got the written copy and they read it, I said written, but it's either physical or the Kindle. But if they can
Yes.
hear your voice in their heads as they're reading it, the feedback I've had is it's doubly powerful.
Mm. Hmm.
Well, yeah, thank you, Dan. How do you then embody your words when you take them from page to stage? There we go. The title of our
Uh,
podcast.
I guess it's well, I'm thinking about my audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I think is important is immaterial.
Okay.
What I think is important to me, and it may not be important to my audience. So my first thought is who am I speaking to, right? Who's in the room?
Mm.
And so when I'm hired to speak, I have a
That's it. It's the Whiffen principle, isn't it? It's the what's in it for me principle. So
yeah, sorry about that.
it's really important that we grasp who it is we're talking to and speak to what they want to hear, or to start with want to hear, and then we can slip in what they need to hear. But you've got to get them
Yes.
on their level with the what's in it for me principle. Absolutely. So you were saying, so,
So yeah, so I'm focused on who's in the room,
mm,
right? Because every room I speak in is different, right? There's a
yes,
different group of people with different set of needs, fears, wants, hopes, and dreams, right? So I have to adjust my presentation to fit what's going to be most beneficial to them,
yes,
right? And so, it could be sales training or it could be leadership, right? Or
mm-hmm,
it could be personal development because spoiler alert, they're all the same thing, right? It's all moving through the things that you struggle with to become the person that you're built to be.
yes,
Right? And so the concepts are all the same. It's how they're expressed, right? It's the funnel through which they are pushed through. Right? And so, look, instead of talking about overcoming objections with a prospect, in one scenario, if I'm talking with HR people, right, it's overcoming the arguments that people have with each other, which is based on their fears. Same thing with overcoming an objection, right? When someone
yes,
doesn't want to, right? If someone's talking to you, they want to buy, or else they wouldn't be talking to you, right?
mm-hmm,
It's moving them through and past their fears about
mm-hmm,
making a mistake or whatever belief they have about what will happen if they buy, right?
yes,
So what am I sharing? I'm sharing the other side of that fire, the thing that they get if they do the thing that they don't want to do.
mm,
Because everything that we want begins with doing something we don't want to do, right? And so
yes,
adjusting the message accordingly is key. Right? And
mm,
so, a lot of people will say, oh, here's my signature talk. Well, that's nice, but it's far too locked in, right? A signature talk has to be an evolving, developing, shifting thing
mm-hmm,
that can be adjusted for the people in the room.
yes.
Because if it's not, then that talk is about you. And nobody cares about you. They care about themselves.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to that point, I was head speaker coach with the TEDx team in one of the TEDx teams in Perth. And I used to say to the speakers, know your material so well that you can read the room, go off piste, give different examples, but make sure you come back. Dear love, and the students who were in charge of the TEDx whole bandwagon just blanched at this point, because they have to fact check and they have to look at the script that you have to speak
Yeah.
the full thing. And I said, well, look, as long as if you don't introduce any new stats, because they have to be fact checked, because
Yeah.
if not, then you risk TEDx not actually putting it up online at all. However, and I witnessed this. We had one lad who his first example bombed. He read the room beautifully and went shifted gears. And the next thing that came out of his mouth, I thought, this isn't in the script, is it? Keep going, son. Where are you going with this? And you could see the student go, oh, where's he going? Where's he going? And I keep going, can't see. And he came back. I'm saying son because he was much younger, and I had a bit of a parental relationship with him. And he came back and he landed that plane so beautifully.
Mm.
And he did a much more powerful talk. His slides were still the same, but his
Hmm.
examples, verbal examples, he read the room so well. So absolutely.
Terrific. Yeah, yeah. And look, to your point, if the room is where it has to be exact, then read that room, right? Then,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, maybe you don't go off script. Maybe you follow your words exactly because if you don't, they're going to take your advice and kill somebody. So it is adjusting the message that is of great benefit
Yes.
to the audience.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I would say, to your point, be willing to pivot to the point where you allow openness in the room, right?
Yes.
Where you allow some magic to happen.
Yeah.
Because the magic happens in the place of uncertainty. And that is in allowing. And look, I'll share with you. I did a presentation. I hit the wall so hard that there was a Dan-shaped hole in it, right? That's just how it was like Wile E. Coyote. And it was, and I did exactly the thing that I'm saying not to do. Well, I didn't let the magic happen. I
Mm.
knew in the first 7 or 8 minutes that my presentation was incorrect for the people in the room. I
Okay.
was told who was in the room, and that was not who was in the room.
Mm.
So I had built this entire presentation for months and months for a group of people who are not in that room. And I stayed with the presentation. I knew, I knew it was time to pivot, but I didn't do it. And
Mm.
I was not asked back to speak, and rightly so, right?
Mm.
Because I didn't let the magic happen.
Right.
And
Yes.
so you leave these spaces open. I
Mm-hmm.
once did a presentation, um, and they were literally jackhammering in the building right beneath me. And nobody went down there and told them to stop jackhammering. And so I pivoted. I said, hey, let's talk about what happens when the unexpected happens in a sales meeting, right?
Brilliant. Yes.
Let's talk about when everything goes off the rails, when you can't do what you wanted to do, right? When you're doing it, when the conversation is now so far off the mark that you cannot focus. Let's have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. I mean, I got a standing ovation on that one because I was using what was happening in the room,
Yes.
right? If you're doing a presentation and the lights go out, you bring that in,
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
If there's a fire alarm, bring that in. Like bring the thing that's happening because what it shows, and this is something I learned in stand up, when a joke bombed, instead of going, oh, well, yeah, I guess you guys didn't like that one, I just let it roll. I'm like, I would kind of giggle to myself and just keep rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience would come back. They
Yes.
would come back because they saw my courage. And so if you have the courage to be honest on stage, both with yourself and your audience, no matter what happens, they will stay with you.
Yeah. It's that vulnerability piece, isn't it? Because as you are vulnerable, you're showing yourself. And
Mm,
again, sort of thinking back to a TEDx experience, I had one of my speakers who was a high. She regularly presented in front of the High Court. She was a high up attorney,
hmm
and she said, "Look, we got out onto the red circle at dress rehearsal, and she froze." I said,
mm.
"Well, what's going on? I can talk in front of the High Court, not a problem." I said, "Yes, because you're delivering a very well prepared brief about somebody else. This is
Nice.
you bearing
Yes.
your soul to the world. It's very different, isn't it?"
hmm
"Yes, it is," she said. "Now is not the time to say, well, I did tell you I needed some work with you," and then actually coming to me until the very last minute. But that's not the time you say that. But my
Yeah.
point is that excuse me, there are it's the vulnerability that people really latch onto, because as you were saying, we were talking about earlier with the Seinfeld joke, the people in the audience are more concerned about the fact that they are not up there, and well done for you because you're up there and I'm not, and what is it? Oh, you're saying that? Oh,
hmm
and
Right.
they will
Yeah.
then lock into the message because they're not worried about the messenger. All they know is that they're rather glad they're not up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, courage, such a good word. Yeah.
Well, I love what you shared about vulnerability because that is Vulnerability is courage.
Yes.
And when you present your vulnerability on stage, when your polish drops a bit, that's when you really bring people in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're then more relatable, aren't you?
Hmm.
Instead of, I mean, because a lot of people say to me, I could never do the public speaking. Or who's your role model? Oh, Tony Robbins. He's all rah, rah, rah. And I go, yeah,
Yeah.
he does him.
Yeah.
You're not him. Let him do him. You do you. And if that's you speaking quietly in front of two or three people, great. Look at someone like, what's his name? Eckhart Tolle. He doesn't
Yeah.
shout and holler and scream,
No.
but he has a whole load of people who are literally sitting at his feet listening.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So absolutely, it's about you being vulnerable. And I heard a wonderful quote. I was interviewing somebody earlier on in the week that they were saying about writing, but I would say the same for speaking. Your vulnerability as you do so, as you share. Now, what was it? Was along the lines of is the most socially acceptable form of being naked in public. I like that.
Yeah.
So I've plagiarized the original quote. I think it was Paolo Cello rather. But yeah, so it is. It takes courage to write
Hmm.
your story. It takes courage to speak it out, particularly if your story has, as we've spoken about earlier, involved trauma.
Yeah.
And there is a way that I'm very keen with the authors that I work with who have shared traumatic experiences. I consider I have a duty of care to let's language it in a way that you can still express some of the emotions that went there, but you're not re traumatizing yourself. You're not going
Right.
back into the full depth of those emotions. Because if you get stuck in the miry mud, your audience is there too, and this is not the place for therapy. You
Hmm.
speak from
Right. It's
scars.
not.
You speak from scars,
Yeah.
not from wounds. And that's where
Nice.
I'm hearing your sales. I love the fact that you're pulling it around to a personal development thing. And you're right. It's having that courage to lean into the unfamiliar because that's where we grow. Oh,
Yeah.
so good, Dan. Thank you. As we're winding up, have you got any final words of wisdom for us?
Yeah. I mean, I do want to share some starting places for sales, right?
Mm,
And so, regardless of what you're selling, if you're a psychotherapist or a web designer or a coach or whatever you are, find out what people want, right? When you're a web designer, people do not want a website, right? What they want is what the website will ultimately bring them. And what a website will ultimately bring them is the happiness and satisfaction of the people that they love. Right? Because the website is going to promote their brand or their business and bring people to it. They'll be able to make money and support their family, and their family will be happy and satisfied, and they love them, and that's what they want, right?
mm,
So when I start working with a prospect, one of the first questions is like, hey, what do you want? And the first answer is always a cursory answer. Well, I want to be successful. I want to make money. Yeah, okay, great. I hear that. What do you think you want to do with that money? Right? And you start down this path. Right? Okay, great. Yeah, what do you want the website for? What do you want to do? Like, how do you want people to, what happens when people come to the website? What do you want that? So now we're building a story of the future that they want, right?
mm,
You don't sell them your thing, you sell them the future where they're using their thing and they're happy and satisfied and the people that they love are taken care of, right? So you find out what that is so you can help them head towards it. You draw a picture of that. The other thing I want to share when you're selling is that you aren't the thing that you're selling. Right? You aren't a website designer. I don't know why I'm picking on website designers, but that's where we are, right? You aren't a website designer. You are the delivery device.
yeah.
Right? And so your job is to be someone that they can trust, that they
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
right? That they're not buying a website, they're buying a website from you. And so it's your responsibility to be that person. In order to be that person, to name what you talked about, Wendy, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open. You have to be willing to ask personal questions.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all in the realm of selling authentically. And this is why sales companies don't do this, because it's a lot easier to sell a script than it is to sell courage. And
Mm-hmm.
people would they want to believe a script is going to do all the heavy lifting for them, and it won't. I'm telling you right now, if you're thinking about buying sales training and they're talking about scripts and tricks and a book for overcoming objections, run. Because it's going to take you showing up as you in your
Yes.
authentic true self.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh, oh, there's another chill moment. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Dan. As always, I love, love, love talking to you. It's been a joy. And I
It,
genuinely mean that a real joy to have a chat with you again today. So
it's
thank you,
always a
Dan,
treat.
for sharing your From Page to Stage. Audience, isn't he brilliant? Bye from us.